Have you ever noticed how life, in all its vivid splendor, can be governed by one of two forces, love or fear? When a person lives from a place of love, every moment pulses with possibility, with tenderness and connection, and even the thought of death loses its sting. But when fear takes hold, it builds walls around the heart and hardens the spirit. It is not that fear is an active force that bestows anything positive. Rather, it is simply the absence of love, a void that slowly paralyzes and diminishes our very essence. In those moments when we let fear rule, we become as if encased in a shell of our own making, a shell that isolates us from the beauty and intimacy of genuine human connection. The irony is that the more we talk about fear, the more we reinforce it, as if repeating that our lives are dominated by fear somehow makes it even more real. Instead, if we shift our focus away from fear and let love become our guide, the grip of fear gradually loosens until it almost vanishes. It is as if every time we choose love over fear, we take a bold, defiant step toward conquering that ultimate adversary, death. For fear, at its root, is deeply intertwined with our dread of death, the fear that one day we will simply cease to exist. And yet, in the transformative power of love, there is no place for such terror. In the intensity of a true, deep love, even the concept of death is transmuted into something that does not frighten but rather enriches the moment. Love has the extraordinary capacity to conquer death, because when you are fully present with another soul, you are no longer afraid of the inevitable end. You are so alive that even the thought of ceasing to be fades away in the brilliance of connection. Consider how living in fear affects us. The heart grows guarded, the body tenses, and our inner world contracts until it resembles a small, dark cell. In that confined space, we are not truly living. We are merely surviving in a state of self-imposed dormancy. We build armor around ourselves, a fortress of habits, routines, and defenses that promises safety and control, but in reality deprives us of the full experience of life. This kind of closed existence is a slow, gradual suicide, a subtle death of the spirit that robs us of the capacity to perceive truth, beauty, and divine joy. Without love, even our relationships become a series of guarded interactions. We allow others only to approach as far as our well-constructed barriers will permit, never daring to let anyone penetrate the true depths of our being, for fear that they might see the emptiness underneath the carefully polished surface. Yet the truth is that we are not meant to be sealed away in our own loneliness. Our deepest self is not defined by the protective masks we wear, our names, our wealth, our power, our prestige, but by an inner divinity that exists long before our first breath and will persist long after our final exhale. To open up to that inner truth, we must learn to soften our defenses and become as receptive as a sponge to the warmth of love. When you allow the natural light of love to flood your inner space, your heart becomes an open door rather than a locked vault. In this openness, you learn to trust not only yourself, but also those around you. For you come to see that genuine intimacy is a mirror in which you recognize your own soul. The journey to trust, to be vulnerable enough to love deeply, often begins with self-love. For if you do not accept yourself wholeheartedly, how can you possibly expect to accept another? Many of us have been conditioned from childhood to believe that self-love is selfish or even forbidden, and so we grow up feeling unworthy or incomplete. Instead, we are urged to direct our affections outward, hoping that someone else will validate our existence. But true love, the kind that liberates and heals, must start from within. When you learn to embrace every facet of who you are, including your imperfections and your hidden emptiness, you create a foundation upon which all other love can flourish. In that very act of self-acceptance, the fear of rejection, of being exposed, dissolves into a radiant openness that allows you to truly connect with others. It is in these genuine connections that the transformative power of love reveals itself. When two people meet without the heavy baggage of self-doubt and fear, when they are willing to let their true selves shine through without restraint, a remarkable alchemy occurs. The physical touch becomes more than just contact. It transforms into a dance of energy, a moment when every cell in the body vibrates with life. This is not merely sexual intimacy, though physical orgasm may be one manifestation. It is a deeper communion that can occur on a psychological and even spiritual level. In these rare moments, you experience not just the thrill of desire, but an overwhelming sense of unity that transcends all boundaries. The barriers that once separated you from the other melt away, leaving behind only a shared essence, a reminder that love is the very substance that makes life worth living. Yet, in our modern world, so many of us remain prisoners of our own fear. We hide behind our routines, our possessions, our social roles, believing that by controlling the external, we can secure our inner world. Politicians and religious leaders alike often exploit this fear, offering promises of security and certainty that only serve to deepen our isolation and dependency. We are told that we must conform, that we must adhere to strict guidelines in order to be safe, and in doing so, we sacrifice the very spontaneity and joy that make life vibrant. But when you focus on fear, even if only for a moment, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, a dark lens through which every experience is tainted. Instead, when you let love be your guide, every rejection, every moment of vulnerability becomes part of a larger tapestry of connection and growth. The process of opening up, of letting others come close, is not without its challenges. It requires that you confront the painful realization that your carefully curated image is but a thin veneer, and that behind it lies an expanse of uncertainty and raw emotion. The fear of intimacy is often nothing more than a reflection of the fear you have of yourself. The fear that if someone sees past your smile and your graceful exterior, they will discover an emptiness, a vulnerability that you have spent your life trying to hide. Yet, it is precisely in embracing that vulnerability that true intimacy is born. When you allow someone to see the parts of you that you once thought were too fragile or too raw, you create a space for mutual healing. In that space, love is not just a fleeting emotion, but a powerful, life-affirming force that transforms both you and the one who is trusted with your truth. To live a life governed by love is to consciously choose to let go of the compulsive need to control, to be perfect, and to shield yourself from pain. It is to understand that the moments of fear, those fleeting instances when your heart trembles and your thoughts race, are not to be fought, but rather acknowledged and gently transformed. Instead of obsessing over the possibility of rejection or the pain of failure, you learn to see each moment as an opportunity to deepen your capacity for love. The more you practice this, the more you realize that every act of genuine connection, every sincere gesture of affection, gradually erodes the power of fear. You begin to notice that when you are open and receptive, when you trust in the inherent goodness of existence, the energy of fear dissipates and is replaced by a luminous, vibrant presence. This transformation is not something that happens overnight. It is a gradual, sometimes painstaking process, a daily act of courage where you decide, time and again, that you will not let fear dictate your life. It may mean stepping out of your comfort zone, risking the vulnerability of being truly seen by another person, or simply allowing yourself to feel without constantly trying to analyze or suppress that feeling. In those quiet, intimate moments when you let your guard down, you begin to understand that love is not just an abstract ideal, but a tangible, transformative power that infuses every aspect of your existence. It is in these moments of unguarded connection that the boundaries between self and other blur, and you catch a glimpse of the profound truth that underlies all of life, that love, not fear, is the ultimate force that sustains and enriches us. So, the call is simple yet profound. Make love, not fear. Focus your energy on nurturing love in yourself, in your relationships, in every encounter with the world. Do not allow the shadow of fear to dictate your actions or cloud your vision. Instead, let each moment be a deliberate choice to open your heart and trust in the beauty of life. Recognize that fear is merely a symptom, a signpost pointing to where love has yet to take root. And when you choose love, you not only conquer your fear, but also ignite a spark that has the power to transform not just your life, but the lives of those around you. In embracing love wholeheartedly, you create a ripple effect that dissolves the barriers between you and others, allowing for an intimacy that is rich, healing, and transcendent. It is through this courageous act of loving, of allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to be seen, and to accept others as they are, that you find your true strength and your deepest freedom. Ultimately, to love is to live without fear. It is to celebrate life in all its messy, beautiful, and unpredictable glory, knowing that even in the face of uncertainty and loss, the power of love endures, guiding you toward a destiny that is as boundless and luminous as the very light it summons from within.